The message came on a Tuesday, just an ordinary day until every screen on Earth flickered and displayed the same alien symbols. It took the world's best computers 3 days to decode it. When they did, humanity learned they were not alone. A diplomatic meeting, Captain John Miller read from the translated message. He stood on the bridge of the Defiant, Earth's most advanced warship. Though impressive by human standards, the Defiant was small compared to what awaited them in deep space. The Galactic Concorde requests our presence at coordinates just beyond Neptune's orbit, said Communications Officer Diane Bennett. Her fingers moved quickly across her console as more data streamed in. They say they represent over 30 spacefaring species. Miller nodded, his expression serious. At 42, he hadn't expected to be humanity's first representative to alien life. His short brown hair had begun graying at the temples, and the lines around his eyes had deepened during his 15 years of service. "What do we know about their capabilities?" he asked. Lieutenant Lisa Wright, tactical officer, pulled up scans on the main display. Their transmission technology alone is centuries beyond ours, and based on the energy signatures we detected when their scout ships entered our system. She paused, looking uncomfortable. "Sir, they could probably wipe us out without trying." The bridge fell silent. Miller squared his shoulders. "Then we make sure they have no reason to try," he said firmly. "Diane, inform United Earth Command that we accept the invitation. We'll take our 5 best ships. 5 ships, Earth's finest vessels, representing all of humanity. The Defiant would lead, accompanied by the Discovery, the Venture, the Intrepid, and the Pioneer. Each ship carried the best of what humanity had to offer." In the days that followed, Miller met with his command staff to prepare. They gathered in the conference room aboard the Defiant while it was still docked in Earth orbit. "They'll expect us to be primitive," said Chief Engineer Sam Baker, a stocky man with clever eyes. "We've only had faster-than-light travel for 20 years. Ambassador Karen Harris nodded in agreement. "Our goal is simple: establish peaceful contact, learn what we can, and secure Earth's independence within this galactic concord." "What if they don't take us seriously?" Lisa Wright asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. 5 ships isn't exactly impressive. Miller looked around at his team. "Then we show them that humans don't need massive fleets to be worthy of respect." The day of departure arrived with global ceremony. Millions watched as Earth's 5-ship fleet prepared to represent humanity among the stars. On the Defiance bridge, Miller settled into the captain's chair. "All ships report ready, Captain," Diane announced. "Navigation set for the rendezvous coordinates," added Navigator Eric Foster. Miller took a deep breath. "This is Captain Miller to all ships. What we do today will shape humanity's future among the stars. We may be few, but we carry the hopes and determination of our entire species. Let's show these aliens what humans are made of." He nodded to Eric. "Take us out, Lieutenant." Steady as she goes. One by one, the 5 ships activated their engines. They rose from Earth orbit in perfect formation, accelerating smoothly into the darkness of space. As they passed the moon, the ships engaged their FTL drives, disappearing in 5 flashes of brilliant light. The journey had begun. Humanity's tiny fleet was on its way to meet the galaxy, unaware of the challenges and surprises that awaited them. The human fleet emerged from FTL travel at the designated coordinates, and collective gasps filled the Defiance bridge. Before them floated vessels of such immense size that the human ships looked like toys in comparison. "My God," whispered Lisa Wright, staring at her tactical display. "That lead ship must be at least 10 miles long." Captain Miller kept his expression neutral despite his shock. "Diane, open a channel. Let them know we've arrived." Before Communications Officer Bennett could comply, the Defiant systems lit up with an incoming transmission. An alien face appeared on the main screen, reptilian with iridescent scales, and 4 eyes positioned in a diamond pattern. "Human vessels, this is Overseer Zark of the Galactic Concorde. Proceed to docking bay 14 for diplomatic proceedings. The screen went dark before Miller could even respond. Friendly, muttered Sam Baker from his engineering station. Ambassador Harris adjusted her formal uniform. Remember, we're representing all of humanity. No matter how they treat us, we maintain dignity. The human ships approached what appeared to be a massive central hub where dozens of alien vessels were already docked. Each alien ship dwarfed Earth's entire fleet. The humans' 5 small vessels moved toward their assigned bay, looking insignificant against the backdrop of gigantic alien technology. As they docked, Miller noticed the barely concealed amusement of the dock workers, 6-limbed beings who gestured toward the human ships with what appeared to be mocking laughter. "They're calling us the Tiny Fleet," Diane said quietly, her translator picking up nearby communications. "They're saying our ships look like escape pods." Miller squared his shoulders. Size isn't everything. The diplomatic party consisted of Miller, Ambassador Harris, and 2 security officers. They were escorted through massive corridors to a grand chamber where representatives from various species sat in tiered seating. The humans were given seats at the lowest level. A tall, blue-skinned alien with elongated limbs addressed the gathering. "The Concord welcomes Earth's representatives. We have observed your civilization's development with interest." Ambassador Harris stepped forward confidently. "On behalf of Earth, we thank you for this invitation and look forward to peaceful exchange." From the upper tiers came a harsh, barking laugh. A heavily armored being with crimson skin and sharp facial ridges leaned forward. Such diplomatic words from a species that still uses chemical propulsion for most of their vessels. The alien said, "I am Commander Drax of the Vexari Dominion. Your tiny fleet suggests you have little to offer the Concord." Harris maintained her composure. "Size isn't always indicative of capability, Commander. Humans value efficiency." "Efficiency." Drax laughed again, louder this time. "Your largest vessel would fit in our waste disposal units." Other representatives chuckled, though some looked uncomfortable at the open mockery. Meanwhile, Engineer Baker had been invited to observe alien technology alongside other technical personnel. He listened carefully as they explained propulsion systems centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. "And what do your ships use?" asked a tentacled engineer, clearly expecting a primitive answer. Baker gave a carefully measured response about Earth's fusion drives, deliberately omitting certain details. On the Defiant, Lieutenant Wright and Communications Officer Bennett monitored transmissions with growing concern. "Captain needs to hear this," Wright said, intercepting a message between Vexari ships. "They're discussing Earth's protection status." "Doesn't sound like protection to me." Bennett's expression darkened as she decoded more transmissions. "They're already dividing up our solar system's resources. They don't see us as equals. They see us as a primitive species to be managed." As the formal meeting continued, the Vexari commander addressed the humans directly. "Your tiny fleet is quaint. It clearly demonstrates why humans require Concord protection. After all, what could such small vessels possibly do against the threats that lurk in deep space?" Miller caught Ambassador Harris's eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. They had prepared for condescension. But this was worse. The aliens weren't just mocking their fleet. They were dismissing humanity entirely. The diplomatic embarrassment was complete, but so was the underestimation. The second day of negotiations began with a formal assessment of Earth's civilization. The Concord representatives sat in their tiered chamber, inputting data and discussing humanity's technological achievements as if humans weren't present. Based on their primitive propulsion systems and limited weapons technology, we classify humans as a Class 4 civilization, announced a tall, spindly alien with pale blue skin. They have achieved spaceflight but lack proper understanding of dimensional physics and gravitational manipulation. Captain Miller watched as Ambassador Harris attempted to interject, only to be politely but firmly silenced by the Concord moderator. "The classification process is not a negotiation, Ambassador," the moderator said. "It is an objective assessment. Commander Drax of the Vexari leaned forward, his crimson skin gleaming under the chamber lights. The evidence clearly supports placing Earth under protection status. Their tiny fleet proves they cannot defend themselves against space-based threats. Protection status. Harris finally managed to ask. What exactly does that entail? An elderly alien with gold-flecked skin responded. The Concorde would establish a presence in your solar system to monitor development and ensure your safety. In exchange, Earth would provide certain resources and labor. Back aboard the Defiant, Dr. Alice Jones, the ship's science officer, had been granted access to the Concorde's historical database as a cultural exchange. What she found disturbed her deeply. "Look at this," she said to Lieutenant Wright, pointing at her tablet. Every species given protection status in the last century has essentially become slave labor for the Concorde. They mine their own planets and build ships they're not allowed to use. Wright frowned. And the Vexari seem especially interested in pushing for our protection. The Vexari have the most to gain, Jones explained. According to these records, they're assigned as protection administrators for most Class 4 worlds. They get first claim on resources. On the diplomatic deck, Captain Miller listened carefully as the Concorde outlined Earth's future. His face revealed nothing, but his mind raced with implications. Humanity will benefit greatly from Concorde protection, a Vexari representative was saying. Your people can focus on cultural development while we handle the dangerous business of space security. Miller caught Engineer Baker's eye across the room. Baker gave an almost imperceptible nod. The engineer had been carefully observing the alien technology, memorizing systems and access points. During a brief recess, the human team gathered in a small chamber provided for their use. They spoke in whispers, aware that they might be monitored. "They've already decided," Harris said, her voice tense. "The vote tomorrow is just a formality." Miller nodded. "Diane, what have you learned from their communications?" Communications Officer Bennett glanced at her tablet. "The Vexari are already preparing ships to move into our solar system. They've been assigned as our protectors, just as Alice predicted." "And the other species?" Miller asked. "Most seem indifferent," Bennett replied. A few expressed concerns about the Vexari's methods, but none opposed the protection status. Miller's expression hardened. "Then it's time for Protocol Omega." The others exchanged glances. Protocol Omega had been developed as a last resort, a contingency plan they had hoped never to use. Their meeting was interrupted by the entrance of Commander Drax, flanked by 2 Vexari guards. "Captain Miller," Drax said, his tone falsely friendly. "I thought we might have a private conversation about Earth's future." Miller stood, maintaining diplomatic composure. "Of course, Commander." In a private chamber, Drax dropped all pretense. "Let me be direct, human. Your planet has resources we want. Your people will provide labor we need. You can accept this gracefully or—" He let the threat hang in the air. "And if we refuse protection?" Miller asked calmly. Drax laughed. "With what? Your tiny fleet." He moved closer. "Tomorrow, we will demonstrate our power to ensure Earth's cooperation. A small, uninhabited outpost on Mars will experience technical difficulties. Nothing fatal, just enough to prove our point." As Miller returned to his team, his decision was made. The Vexari had revealed their true intentions, and now humanity would reveal theirs. "Send the signal," he told Bennett quietly. "It's time Earth showed the galaxy what our tiny fleet can really do." The Martian research station erupted in a ball of flame visible from orbit. The unmanned facility, established as an early warning system, disappeared from all monitoring screens. The attack was precise and devastating. "The demonstration has been completed," Commander Drax announced to the Concorde assembly. His crimson face showed no remorse as he displayed imagery of the destroyed outpost. This regrettable action was necessary to show humans the seriousness of their situation. Ambassador Harris stood up, her face pale with shock and anger. "You've committed an act of war against Earth. The Concord moderator raised a hand for silence. The Vexaries' methods are sometimes direct, but they have experience bringing primitive species into the fold. Captain Miller stepped forward. With respect, this attack cannot go unanswered. We request permission to return to our ships. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The aliens seemed amused by the human reaction. Running away already? Drax mocked. Perhaps your tiny fleet should hide while the adults handle galactic matters. Miller's expression remained neutral. We need to assess the damage and inform our government. After a brief conference, the Concord granted permission. The human delegation returned to their ships with deliberate haste that the aliens mistook for fear. Once aboard the Defiant, Miller called an emergency meeting of all ship captains via secure channel. The Vexari have shown their true intentions, he said grimly. Does everyone remember the briefing for Protocol Omega? The other captains nodded. Captain Susan Gray of the Discovery spoke first. Earth approved the protocol this morning after receiving our initial reports. General Thompson has the defense grid on standby. What about the Mars outpost personnel? Asked Captain Peter Olson of the Intrepid. Evacuated yesterday, Miller confirmed. We suspected something like this might happen. Lieutenant Wright expanded the tactical display. The Vexari have positioned 3 warships near Mars. They're expecting us to respond with our tiny fleet and get obliterated. Then let's not disappoint them, Miller said with grim determination. Prepare for immediate departure. In the main chamber, the Concord representatives watched on their monitors as the 5 human ships undocked. They flee in terror, a Vexari officer laughed. As expected, the elderly gold-flecked alien looked troubled. Perhaps we've been too harsh in our judgment. Commander Drax dismissed this concern with a wave. They must learn their place. A primitive species cannot be allowed to believe they are equals. The human ships moved away from the Concord station in tight formation. Their engines flared as they accelerated, seemingly preparing to jump to FTL. They run back to Earth to report their helplessness, Drax said smugly. But something unexpected happened. The 5 ships did not engage their FTL drives. Instead, they simply vanished. Alarms blared throughout the Concord station. Tracking systems showed nothing where the human vessels had been moments before. What happened? Demanded the Concord moderator. Where did they go? The Vexari officers scrambled to check their sensors. Unknown. They just disappeared. Back on Earth, General Paul Thompson received the coded signal in the hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Protocol Omega confirmed, he announced to the officers around him. Activate the defense grid. Throughout the solar system, concealed platforms that had appeared to be simple communications relays or asteroid mining stations suddenly powered up advanced weapon systems. Near Mars, the 3 Vexari warships continued their patrol, unaware of what was happening. Their sensors detected no threats. Their crews relaxed in their perceived superiority. Sir, a Vexari officer called out suddenly. Energy spike at coordinates 227 by 114. The Vexari commander barely had time to look up before the human ships reappeared, directly behind his vessels. Impossible, he whispered. Captain Miller's voice came through on all frequencies, calm and clear. This is Captain John Miller of Earth Fleet. You fired the first shot. Now you'll see what our tiny fleet can really do. All 5 human ships simultaneously dropped their stealth fields, revealing weapon systems far more advanced than anything the Concord had seen from Earth technology. The real fight was about to begin. The Vexari commanders froze in disbelief as their sensor readings suddenly changed. The 5 human ships they had dismissed as primitive now showed energy signatures unlike anything they had encountered before. Target their weapon systems, Captain Miller ordered calmly. Disable, don't destroy. Lieutenant Wright nodded. Precision strike packages ready, sir. The Defiant fired first. Instead of the crude missiles or laser weapons the Vexari expected, a swarm of tiny glowing projectiles emerged from hidden ports along the ship's hull. These projectiles moved with impossible agility, weaving through the Vexeri shields as if they weren't there. "What is this?" screamed the Vexeri commander as his ship's main weapons went offline. "Their technology is impossible for a Class 4 civilization." Similar attacks launched from the other human vessels. The Discovery deployed what appeared to be an energy web that disrupted the Vexeri engines. The Venture released hundreds of small drones that attached themselves to key points on the second Vexeri ship. The Intrepid and Pioneer coordinated an attack that cut communication between the three alien vessels. In less than 5 minutes, all three Vexeri warships hung powerless in space. At the Concord station, the Emergency Council watched in stunned silence. "How?" asked the Concord moderator, turning to Engineer Baker, who had remained behind as the human liaison. Baker smiled slightly. "Humans have a saying. Necessity is the mother of invention. We couldn't build bigger, so we built smarter." He activated a holographic display showing the true nature of Earth's technology. "Our ships aren't primitive. They're just different," Baker explained. "While your civilizations focused on building massive vessels with brute force weapons, we focused on adaptability and precision." The display showed the inner workings of the human stealth system. "We developed this technology not to start wars, but to end them quickly with minimal loss of life." Baker continued. "Those tiny ships you mocked, they're not tiny because we couldn't build bigger ones. They're exactly the size they need to be." Near Mars, Captain Miller opened a channel to the disabled Vexari ships. "This is your only warning," he said firmly. "Earth is not interested in your protection. We protected ourselves for centuries before we met you, and will continue to do so." The transmission was broadcast across all Concord frequencies, ensuring every species could hear it. But that's not all. Miller continued as new signals appeared on the Concord monitors. Throughout the solar system, hundreds of previously hidden human vessels decloaked. Some emerged from behind moons, others from within asteroid fields. Each was smaller than conventional alien warships, but bristling with the same advanced technology that had disabled the Vexari. "By your standards, we may be a young species," Miller said, "but we learned early that survival doesn't always go to the biggest. Often it goes to the most adaptive." The Concord representatives watched in awe as the true extent of Earth's fleet was revealed. What they had dismissed as 5 primitive ships was merely a diplomatic escort. The full human defense force numbered in the hundreds, each vessel specialized for specific tactical purposes. The human ships observed the gold-flecked elder alien. "They're all different, each designed for a specific function, rather than mass-produced from a single template." Baker nodded. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our diversity of approach. We don't just build weapons to destroy. We build systems to outsmart, outmaneuver, and when necessary, overwhelm." On the main display, the Earth fleet surrounded the disabled Vexari ships. The message was clear. Humanity would not be subjugated. "It seems," the Concord moderator said slowly, "that we have severely underestimated humans." Baker smiled again. "That's another human specialty. We're used to being underestimated, and we've learned to use it to our advantage." As the Concord representatives murmured among themselves, one thing became abundantly clear. The tiny fleet they had mocked was about to change the balance of power in the galaxy. The Concord station erupted in chaos as more reports flooded in. Human vessels had appeared throughout the system, each revealing weapons and defensive capabilities far beyond what anyone had predicted. "This council is now in emergency session," announced the Concord moderator, their voice strained. "The human situation must be reassessed immediately." Commander Drax, watching his prized warships floating helplessly near Mars, slammed his fist on the conference table. "This is deception. They deliberately missiled the Concord about their capabilities." Ambassador Harris entered the chamber, her head held high. "No more than you missiled us about your intentions, Commander. You called our ships tiny and primitive while plotting to enslave our planet." Before Drax could respond, Captain Miller's voice came through the station's communication system. "Attention Concord representatives. This is Captain John Miller of Earth Fleet. We are now executing a precision response to the Vexuri aggression. On the main display, the Council watched as the human fleet moved with startling coordination. The 5 ships that had been mocked now led different battle groups, each targeting specific Vexuri holdings throughout the system. Witness true human warfare, Miller continued. We don't seek destruction. We seek decisive victory with minimal casualties. Lieutenant Wright, aboard the Defiant, coordinated the most innovative aspect of the human counterstrike. Drone swarms deployed, she reported to Miller. All targets marked. Thousands of small, autonomous combat drones launched from the human vessels. Unlike the crude weapons the aliens expected, these drones operated with artificial intelligence, adapting to defensive measures in real time. The Vexuri's orbital platforms, hidden throughout the system to support their planned takeover of Earth, found themselves overwhelmed. Their defensive systems, designed to counter large energy weapons and missiles, proved useless against the swarm tactics. How are they bypassing our shields? A Vexuri commander demanded as his station's weapons went offline. The answer came from Engineer Baker, who had taken over the Concorde's main briefing station. Human warfare evolved differently than yours, he explained to the assembled representatives. For centuries, we fought each other on a single planet. We learned to value precision over power, intelligence over brute force. The main screen showed human drones systematically disabling Vexuri systems without destroying the stations themselves. We could destroy your outposts, Baker continued, but that would cause unnecessary death. Instead, we're simply removing your ability to threaten us. In less than an hour, every Vexuri military asset in the solar system had been neutralized, not destroyed, simply rendered harmless. Captain Miller's fleet regrouped near the Concorde station, forming a defensive perimeter that made their message clear. Earth was no longer accepting visitors without invitation. Ambassador Harris addressed the stunned council. The Vexuri attacked an Earth outpost to demonstrate their power. We have responded by demonstrating ours. She activated a holographic display showing the full extent of Earth's hidden fleet. Hundreds of specialized vessels of varying designs patrolled the solar system. For decades, humanity prepared for first contact, Harris explained. We hoped for peace but prepared for hostility. The ships you mocked as tiny are actually our diplomatic vessels, designed to appear non-threatening. The gold-flecked elder leaned forward. Your true fleet was hidden all along. Harris nodded. We revealed only what we wanted you to see. A common human tactic. The Concorde moderator appeared deeply troubled. This changes everything about our assessment. Yes, Harris agreed firmly. It should. Earth doesn't seek conflict with the Galactic Concorde. We still desire peaceful relations and fair trade. But understand this clearly. Earth will never accept protection status. We protect ourselves. As if to emphasize her point, a new class of human vessels decloaked near Jupiter. These larger ships, clearly designed for long-range operations, had been hidden in the planet's complex magnetic field. Miller's voice came through once more. The choice is yours, Concorde representatives. We offer friendship based on mutual respect, or we— 3 days after the human counterstrike, the Concorde station buzzed with unprecedented activity. Representatives from dozens of species requested private meetings with Ambassador Harris and Captain Miller. The diplomatic landscape had shifted dramatically. The Concorde's central chamber, once a place of condescension toward humans, now hosted a formal reclassification ceremony. After thorough review, announced the blue-skinned moderator, the Galactic Concorde hereby recognizes Earth as a Class II civilization with advanced spacefaring capabilities. The chamber, packed with more representatives than ever before, erupted in applause. Even species that had never shown interest in Earth now sought favorable relations. In the front row, Commander Drax sat stiffly beside his superior officers. The Vexuri Dominion had suffered a humiliating defeat without a single casualty, perhaps the most elegant demonstration of power the Concorde had ever witnessed. Ambassador Harris accepted the new classification with grace. Earth thanks the Concord for this recognition. We look forward to peaceful exchange of knowledge and culture. After the ceremony, Captain Miller met with the Concord's military council. The alien commanders studied him with new respect. "Your combat doctrine is unlike anything we've encountered," admitted a four-armed general from a warrior species. "How did humans develop such techniques?" Miller considered his answer carefully. "Earth's history is filled with conflict. We learned that the side with the biggest weapons doesn't always win. Often, it's the side that adapts fastest." He activated a holographic display showing Earth's military evolution. "When we couldn't match our enemies in size or strength, we developed stealth, precision, and coordination. We learned to use our opponent's assumptions against them." The alien commanders nodded in understanding. Many wrote notes or recorded his words. Meanwhile, Engineer Baker hosted technical exchanges with curious alien engineers. The human approach to shipbuilding fascinated them. "Your vessels are highly specialized," noted a tentacled engineer. "Why not build universal ships?" Baker smiled. "Humans believe in the right tool for the right job. Why build one massive ship when 5 smaller ones can work together more effectively?" He showed them designs for Earth's various vessel classes, from stealth scouts to electronic warfare platforms to the precise surgical strike ships that had disabled the Vexeri fleet. "Each captain knows their ship's purpose perfectly," Baker explained. "Together, they form something greater than the sum of their parts." On the final day of negotiations, the Concord presented Earth with a formal alliance offer.